Hello everybody, I'm glad to see you guys at our traditional event for startups and investors, Imaguru Startup Sprint. My name is Irina Ryabtseva. I am community manager of Imaguru and also host of the event. For 2 years, we have been meeting in our huge hub in Minsk, but 2020 has changed our rules and now we can meet only online. But I hope it won't last long. In some period of time, we will work together in real time. Working online gives us opportunity to connect with our partners from different countries. And you know that Belarus is going through hard times and our community needs help. That's why we decided to organize a meetup with speakers from Estonia who are always ready to give us a helping hand. And today we are discussing fundraising in Estonia. And I want to introduce Gerri Kodres. Gerri is one of the most active business angels and VC in Estonia, the founder and partner of United Angels, voted #1 tech investor in 2019 in Estonia, and by Estonian startup founders, investor in 35 startups, and early as business development executive with 15 years of experience in strategy, enterprise sales, general management of early and growth stage B2B tech companies. So we have like virtual stage and it is for you. Good luck.
Hello. So I hope all of you can hear me well. Yes, so Irina already did a short introduction. So overall, actually, my background in investing is around, in startup investing is more than 10 years. So I started as a business angel. So actually I was involved, I was actually working like a board member and head of business development in one mobile payments company. And then, you know, I had around 10 years ago, I had, you know, free resources. And I also actually noticed that there was a lot of startups with great technical founders in Estonia, but not so many, you know, there was not so much knowledge about business side. So I started to help these startups. And I also often saw that actually they were, in addition to the, you know, advising or knowledge, you know, they also needed money to get off. And then that's how I started as a business angel around 10 years ago. And now last 3 years, I actually left every other position and established together with my two partners, a venture capital fund, which is called United Angels VC. And so, yes, right now as an angel investor, I think I have done somewhere around 17 or 18 startup investments and exited 4 of them. And with the fund now, we have done around 20 investments during the last 3 years. And yeah, so that's basically as my background as an investor. But you know, in addition to being an investor, yes, then I always actually, the areas where I like to help the startups in my portfolio are both basically usually how to build up a sales organization, how to do business development, how to do partnerships, and also general strategy. So these are maybe, you know, my areas where I'm helping my portfolio companies the most. And yeah, I will today maybe give a little bit of overview of the scope of Estonian financing in startup and tell about different players in the space, and also maybe highlight some of the points which are relevant if you want to apply for financing from Estonia and from Estonian investors. So what are the things to keep in mind? So maybe one thing I can show to the start is that there is actually really nice Estonia, as you already know, you know, then Estonian startup space has been doing really well. Actually, we have been lucky. I think, to a large extent, actually, to have first to have Skype, you know, coming like 10, 15 years ago, and then out of the Skype actually became, you know, second generation of Estonian successful startups like TransferWise and Bolt and Monese, and actually almost every every successful Estonian startup has some founders or management members which previously were part of Skype in Estonia. And then now there is already like a third wave coming because number of these companies like Bolt and TransferWise and others, they have grown quite big already, and early employees from these companies, they have got some, you know, some monetary resources and very good experience. So some of them are now leaving these companies already and establishing their own. I wanted to show you actually quickly this. There is a really nice crowdfunded table, this Google document, which actually summarizes, which everybody can fill in, and then it summarizes, you know, how many investments have been done to Estonian related companies during every year. And you can see that the companies which have raised most of the money are, of course, very large ones like Bolt, TransferWise, Monese. Now, just yesterday there was a news about Skeleton, which is actually a company which is pretty technology heavy. They produced a special type of batteries for electric vehicles and a number of others. And Estonian companies have been quite lucky actually. Usually, every Estonian startups, they first raise their first round of capital from local angel investors, and then second round of capital sometimes is, you know, a mix of local investors and the foreign companies, and then, you know, if company grows higher than this, then usually, you know, it's a lot of European and US funds also now that are seeing that are following Estonian startup scene and that are investing, you know, in the follow-up rounds. And here you can just see, you know, that in millions of how many what is the amount of investments and number of deals done. So you can see that, you know, last year, for example, there was around 70 financing deals. This year there is 60, and you know, I can share you the link of this if you just want to see it. It actually this crowdfunded table really shows, you know, quite well actually, you know, which companies have raised money from what investor, what's the amount. So here we share the information very openly, and this information, you know, is available for everyone. So always one question is that how now this COVID situation has influenced the financing. So I can definitely comment from my perspective that you know, there was a situation of kind of a shock among investors maybe in March or April this year, but it didn't last very long. So everybody actually saw that you know, the startups, many of the startup companies are actually you know, pretty resistant to the crisis. In my portfolio as well, actually, some of the companies they have lost. Some of the companies, the impact is neutral, but many companies are also gaining from this situation where people cannot you know, interact with each other directly, and are moving to remote working, and there is actually a lot of startups that are also benefiting. So if I looked, I just yesterday looked up the statistics that by the end of October last year, there were around 63 financing transactions done in Estonia, and by this year, start of November, there was 65. So actually, the activity has really not suffered at all, and right now it's almost like business as usual. Of course, you know, every investor now puts more attention to the unit economics. Every investor wants to see more maybe profitable path to you know, so that the company has a path to profitability, and the companies, many companies also had to cut costs. But I think this was, you know, basically a lot of companies actually it was a good situation. They could get rid of excess costs and are actually healthier than before. And yeah, from my portfolio, actually there has been no company which has gone out of business. And overall in Estonia, I think during this year there hasn't been almost any cases of startups, going out of business because of the COVID situation. So maybe I will a little bit now show some highlight also the different players in the Estonian landscape and talk a little bit about how to approach and what the investors are looking for. Okay, I think I showed this slide already, so just this one highlights some of the companies that I have invested to. So yeah, number of companies actually are already quite big, and the others are still in the earlier phases. And each year I take a look around 100 to 300 opportunities, and approximately, it's not only about me, it's also usually about other VCs that usually Estonian VCs, do like around maybe 10 investments every year. Okay, so what are the different financing options for startups in Estonia? So of course, first possibility is equity investments, and that's what I am going to focus on mostly. There are also obviously some kind of grants and different support systems and loans and warranties, but I think at the current moment, these are not so critical from the perspective of this presentation. So there is, especially if you are a science-heavy startup, then actually there are some quite good government grants also available to finance the product development. But usually this is coupled with the requirement to have some private money involved as well. So anyway, you will need to you need to have some investors in the company as well. Okay, so what are the main categories actually from where you can get the money from in Estonia? So if your company is actually early phase, if you do not have any revenues yet, if you are still working out the product, then typical source for investment is business angels. Estonia actually has an association which is connecting business angels. I think there are around 100 members in this. It's called Estban, and if you check, they also have got their own homepage. And they are usually the ones who invest in quite early phases to the company, and they basically do I think once a month events where actually they select certain number of startups to present, and then these people will be either physically present or now actually over the screen, business angels, and then then the business angels can invest. Usually each business angel invests somewhere between 20,000 to 50,000 euros, and usually they pool the resources. So if business angels decide to invest in the like pre-seed phase, then usually you can expect somewhere let's say few $100,000 euro investment together. Of course, one challenge is that if you're a very early phase company from another country, then business angels, what is characteristic for business angels is that they want to invest. Actually, they often want to invest quite close to where they live, because business angels often they want to be like hands-on persons. They want to help the company, because one reason why they invest is typically that they see that they can somehow, their knowledge can benefit the startup, and if the company is from another country, then it will be more difficult, to meet physically and to provide, hands-on assistance to this company. However, I have seen actually business angels in Estonia also once in a while invest to also outside companies. So I have seen several companies where the members of EstBAN, this Estonian Business Angels Association, Business Angels Network, where they have invested also to Norwegian companies, to Lithuanian companies, to I think to from other countries as well. But still, it's a little bit more difficult than to get money if you are not from Estonia. Then there is accelerators. There is actually few accelerators in Estonia. I think the most well-known is Startup Wise Guys. So you can type in, or I can later on share their contacts. So if your company is in the early phase, then typically also, you know, then it will be difficult to get money from VCs, because VCs usually expect to have some kind of actually commercial traction and some revenue and hopefully a good growth. So if you are not yet in this phase, if the company is still working out the product, then either business angels or accelerators are good source. And I know that this Startup Wise Guys, for example, is really happily accepting startups from every other country as well. Actually, they are located in Estonia, headquartered, but they really don't have any only quite small proportion of their startups are from Estonia. So this is definitely one good option for you. And they also really, I know the guys very well, and they are really helpful also in helping other companies from other countries to establish in Estonia, and provide very good mentorship and provide really good hands-on assistance and help to find the next investors. So I really can recommend the early phase startups to apply to this one. And then there is VCs, and I think I can go a little bit more quickly into more deeper into VC landscape. So in the next slide, actually, you can see the VCs which are right now operating in Estonia, and what are their sizes and what are their focuses. So there is around 7-8 different VCs. Some of them are more early phase, like us, for example, United Angels, also like Super Angel, like Terra Ventures, and some others, and some are a little bit later phase, like Nordic Ninja and Karma Ventures. So usually these two, they invest in the phases where actually you already are a round the company, and they also are not tied to the regional restriction. So some early phase funds, actually they need to have a company, the company where to invest being established in Estonia or in the Baltics. So they would not be able to invest to Belarus company. However, if your company has legal headquarters in Estonia, then also early phase funds can invest. And actually, this is one of my recommendations also to a lot of startups from the Belarus or Ukraine, is that if you can, then it is much easier for you to get the financing if the company is established in European Union country, because of course, if your main target market, for example, is US, and you already have a good traction in the US, then of course you can also establish in Delaware company and move to US, but it's much more simpler and easier and cheaper actually to establish a company in Europe. And especially Estonia is a very good example in that regard, that it's really easy to establish a company. it's also cheap to maintain it. It doesn't, you don't need to hire, right away the lawyers and accountants and everybody. If you get to Estonian accelerator like Startup Wise guys, then they will be helping you with this. And also, investors, any of the investors in the list can also help you with this. So yeah. So I think Estonian investors are quite open to invest to companies which have foreign founders, because our country is so small that if you only look at Estonian founders, then there might not be enough of them. Although the situation is really good, and but still the overall population is just so small that there might not be enough founders. And at the same time, if you have Estonian company, then Estonia has a very good image outside of in other countries and with other investors, because we for a small country we have had number of really good success cases, and therefore it might be also beneficial for the company and for the marketing purposes to have Estonian legal person. You can still keep the technical office or main office physically in Belarus if you want to, but also if needed, you can move to Estonia as well. So that is, there is there is actually very supporting community of startup founders in Estonia. So everybody is very willing to share the knowledge. Everybody is willing to help you. There are also good startup hubs. So the people like Lift 99 or others, Palo Alto Club, for example, and others. So the people there are actually usually very openly providing recommendations and advice. Yeah, I think most of the Estonian VCs, I think it makes sense to go directly to VC if you already have revenue of, let's say, it's different to say exactly, but maybe somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 MRR is the smallest level where going to VC might make sense to early phase VCs, because if you have smaller revenue, then better target for you, better investment prospects for you will be business angels or accelerator maybe. Some funds and also usually if you go to VCs, then the investors expect you to have at least commercial traction in other countries rather than your home market. So having the tractions on customers only in maybe one country is usually not enough, because it doesn't yet show to the VCs that you are capable of scaling the company. So that's maybe another advice that if you but of course there are exceptions. If you are a founder which already has if you are serial founder which already has found number of companies and investors have good know you already beforehand, then it's also possible to get investment even before having actual revenues from VCs as well. But typically, if you are very early phase, then it makes sense to go to accelerators or angels. Yeah, you can also see actually the sizes of Estonian funds here, like usually somewhere between 20 to 70 million. So Estonian funds are best suited for seed phase and maybe up to round A. If your company already goes further than this, then there are a lot of European and US investors which are co-investors, with many Estonian funds, so the funds can help you to also found external investors after that for your next rounds. And also actually I have highlighted this slide as well to show that also there is also a number of funds in Latvia and Lithuania which are also looking at Estonian companies, but not so much as in Estonia. Just maybe to name a few, then which are more active is Praktika from Lithuania, then Change Ventures inactive in each of 3 countries, Contrarian Ventures from Lithuania. Yeah, Latvia I think has the smallest number of investors or VCs. So, and especially if you're looking for earlier phase capital, then Estonia is better source than other Baltic countries. I know that of course you might be more familiar because with Lithuania there are also actually some areas where Lithuania is standing up quite well. For example, fintech and especially blockchain type of startups can, I think, find quite good and knowledgeable investors from Lithuania. But for many other segments like SaaS companies or hardware type of things or marketplaces, most likely Estonia may have more Estonian investors may have more experience. Okay, yeah, I think generally, I believe you might be familiar with how in what stages the investments are being done, and how that usually in the very first round you either if you are just starting up, then you need to put your own money, or you need to find money from family or some friends. Then later on, if you already have something going on, if you have some prototype of the product, or if you're getting closer to getting the product ready, then angel investors is the right source. And then after this, it's basically funds, some early phase funds, and then once the company grows, then the rounds can grow also bigger. I will have some slides about to put some. I can show them right away. I think okay, yeah, this one. So or maybe I can start with this one. So if you want to know where your company is right now, then this is maybe a good some kind of guidelines. So if you don't have any revenue yet, or if you're starting up and then you are in pre-seed phase, you can see that this is basically European levels. Like in US, the valuations and every other numbers, they can be bigger, but this is more or less what you can get in Estonia or in Europe. So that if your company is very early phase, and if you decide to raise money, then you can expect, of course, if you get investment, if investors like you, then you might expect, then usually in the first phase you will be raising somewhere between 100 to 300,000 euros. Your company valuation might be somewhere between 500,000 to 2 million, and if you have any revenue, then at least the month-to-month growth should be pretty at double-digit number. Then next, if your company grows higher, if your monthly MRR is already somewhere between, let's say, 5 to 10k to 50k, then you are in the seed phase. Then you usually will be raising somewhere like between 300 million to few million, and the round valuation will be somewhere 2 to 6 million. And growth still usually needs to be somewhere double-digit number. Then in the A round, usually you can have the company valuation is between 10 and 40 million, and you will be raising in this phase, you already have proven that your product has really, has product market fit, and you will be raising money to scale the company. You want to go to more countries. You want to expand the business. You need somewhere between 5 to 10 million to do this. MRR usually for A round, it will be start from 100,000 MRR, monthly recurring revenue, and then of course B round and C round are already bigger. So this is maybe some kind of rules of thumb of what kind of, depending on the number. Sometimes we see that a company comes too early and wants to raise seed round already very beginning, wants to have like raise $1 million right away in the beginning, but and has unrealistic expectations. So it's and then we'll be disappointed. So it's rather actually to have realistic expectations right away. Actually, this is from another company, which is a German VC. And it's also actually, a similar type of guideline table for Western European investors. So you can also see that they make here, they have put the guideline of, what the annual recurring revenue should be, what should be the growth between two, let's say, seed round and Series A and Series B, company valuation, round size, and what kind of things you need to have in place in order to actually qualify for, like, let's say you want to apply for seed round, then you need to have like, okay, strong tech co-founder, domain expertise, some kind of early users love your product, and in Series A already, well-defined market, strong customer references, proven ability to grow, and so on. So these are good characteristics what investors use in order to judge your company, and also for you in order to see actually which kind of money and round you should be raising and from what kind of investors. Otherwise it might be that you are just putting your energy to the wrong place. So now maybe I can go a little bit more specifically, what usually I'm looking for if I invest, and also that applies also to many other investors as well. So especially since I'm early phase investor, then the main thing in the beginning, if the revenues are very small or even non-existent, is that you are looking for a team of people who can execute. And usually what does this mean is that the best kind of founders are who actually maybe have some personal pain, who have been working, let's say, in some company before, and they have seen that actually there is a problem that this company has, and they have found the solution, and they then they come away from this company and they want to solve the same problem for the whole industry. So, for example, one of my latest investments is to anti-money laundering company, and these guys used to be earlier actually the AML and fraud detection team in TransferWise. So and they saw that actually what problems TransferWise had, and what was the difficulty in how to fight with fraud and money laundering, and then they worked out a good way how to do it, and then they actually left the company to create their own company and help every other fintech and bank also. So they were really good domain experts, and very often if you, let's say, if you are a student or if you have not had any relation previously to the field, where you have established your startup, then it's much more difficult to convince the investor that there is a problem in that segment and why because then the investors will always ask a proof, and they want to see the bigger. Then you need to have really good KPIs and really good actual numbers in order to convince the investor. Yeah, then, you know, team usually, of course, you know, there needs to be a personal match between team members. Then it's much preferred if team has multiple founders, not only one founder, because we have often seen that if there is only one founder, then it is much more difficult for the founder at some point actually to become, you know, depressed, or you know, they don't have okay, they have investors to talk to, but they don't have a sparring partner, so they don't have actually anyone to be in touch, like in everyday discussions on how the company should go forward, and then it's easier to burn out if you're a single founder. But of course there is exceptions. We have several companies also which with single founder. Sometimes it works. Yeah, and then you need to find the proven track to do extraordinary, you know, things. If you know, even if you are maybe you know, if you are still young founder, if you haven't worked in other companies before, then at least you should somehow prove that you know, your track record is good. You have done some things in the university or somewhere which are something special. And yeah, last point is like sufficient founder equity. So this means that, you know, if your company is making good progress, but if you have given away already, you know, very large percentage of the company to some local investors, maybe it's going to be difficult for a new investors to invest, because they, you know, they know that you know, every investor wants the founder to have the, you know, most stake of the company to be motivated, and every new investment round is going to dilute the founders. It's going to reduce the founders' equity, and therefore, you know, if already in the early phases you have given away too much stake, then you are in difficult situation in raising new rounds. And you know, it's a rule of thumb is that in every round you should give away 20 to 25% of the company, not more. And in the later rounds, in the rounds, financing rounds after a round, you usually even will be giving away less than 20%. So maybe somewhere between, you know, 10 and 20. But so if you come to early phase investor, and you already have given away half of the company, it's going to be difficult. You need to do something with this in order to maintain, you know, higher equity. Sometimes some investors can help you to solve this problem, to buy out early investor, but it's pretty difficult. Okay, then the next point is that yeah, your product should be, of course, really good, and also the market opportunity should be high. And maybe some of the points that you to be highlighted is that, you know, yeah, if you are a startup founder, you already mostly know these points. So I don't even maybe spend a lot of time here. Like, okay, you need to show that it's like the market is really growing fast. Then you need to know what's the size of, you know, total market, and the market where you want to be, and other things. So a lot of VCs actually are looking at from the point of perspective that if your company is your company, but does it have a potential to earn back the whole fund, so that you know, if things go really well. So the market size potential, if you are successful, it should be large. So if you are working only in some very narrow niche, then even if you're successful, you know, your company might not be, you know, worth hundreds of millions. If it's in the best case, if it's worth like 10 millions, then usually it's not interesting for VC. Yeah, and also, you know, what kind of you know, business or product actually you should have. You know, also in the early phases, in many times, what I see is that founders come to us and they really talk a lot about their product, and they demonstrate it, and they you know, they are very, you can see that they love it. but they really haven't thought too much about the business side of it and how to solve it, and how what the potential buyers, customers would be thinking about this product. So always, if you come to an investor, these will be the main questions from the investors, not really so much about the product, but rather actually how this product can create a business. So rather, try to really think about this and have these answers ready. Yeah, because if you don't, then again, the likelihood of you getting the investment will be much lower. Let me see what other slides I want. I think I had maybe one or two more slides. Okay, here is maybe just one more technical slide. Is about if you will be raising money, then usually this illustrates actually how much you should be giving away in every phase. So in the pre-seed phase, usually you give away, in this example, 15%. In the A round, you give away maybe up to 30% to Series A investor, and in the next rounds as well. So and also it's a rule of thumb that actually after Series A you should have around half or more of the company left, which means that before this, in pre-seed round, in the seed round, the founder team should always have the majority of the company. Only after round A, it's acceptable if the founders will be will have less share in the company left. Because after round B, the company is anyway usually worth 100 million or more. So it's anyway already motivating for founders. But again, this is important because especially in the earlier phases, we sometimes see that in the countries where the investor landscape is not very developed, and then if you need to go to some local, old school business guys like I don't know, real investment or some factory owners or somebody, then they don't know actually about startup financing. Then they will tell you that, okay, I can give you like 100,000 or 200,000, but I want half of the company. And definitely you should, you should try to avoid this kind of situation. And then rather try to find an investor who is familiar with startup financing and usually that's the situation in the countries like Estonia, where there is already the community of startup investors is really developed, and you do not have the case. You don't find a startup investor who in the beginning wants to cheat you, or who wants to take too big share of the company, because everybody knows that if you do it in the beginning, you will make it much harder for the company to raise later rounds, which means that the company will suffer, and maybe also although you have a big share of it, but the overall company will never become 100 million or 1 billion company. So that's also that's advice for the founders that try to get money from these investors who know about how the startup financing works. Okay, I think more or less I have spent like 45 minutes now in going over the kind of main advice or ideas and main players in Estonian space. So I think we have got like 10-15 minutes for questions and questions and answers. So maybe one thing I can highlight also is that if your company if you see that your company already should get money from the VCs, then every Estonian VC company has you can contact them via the homepage. Obviously, you know, there is usually some kind of contact email available, and you know, usually the companies, you know, usually Estonian VCs are not arrogant like maybe like some US VCs might be, that you know, you might never get an answer if you write to a US VCs. Estonian VCs usually, you know, even if they don't invest, you get the response typically. And also if your company is more earlier phase, then you can write to this organization which is called Estban. They also have actually contacts in their homepage. Of course, you know, always the best way to get introduced to an investor is that if you already know some company in the portfolio, or if you know some of the, you know, other investor who can introduce you, because you know, introduction always has the highest likelihood of you know, investor already being, you know, more positive towards you, you know, even before investment. But you can, you know, if you don't, so if you can, then try to find somebody who can recommend you, then who can make an introduction to you to any investor. But if you don't, then you know, you can also write cold emails, and you know, a lot of investors will respond, and then they are quite open to tell, even if maybe in some case, even if they can't invest, they can tell you, or maybe they can give you another recommendation where to go. Okay, I think it's time to if there are any questions, then I'm happy to answer or comment.
Yeah, thank you. So we have some questions. First of all, Dmitry wrote to us, could you please share the link of Estonia investment deals table?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. I can actually right away put it to this Google chat. Let me see if we can share it right away, or maybe I can share it to you, and then later on you, if I cannot put it here, I can also. Oh, okay. I think I might be able to put it. I can see the. Oh, yeah. I have added the link here now. So you actually can see quite well actually in different sheets, you know, what are the transactions which have happened during the last year. It would be really good actually to I don't know if Belarus companies have similar table. You can use the same template if you want to, and do your own table. I know that Latvian, Lithuanian companies actually they started to do like similar tables now for the last few years. So it's you know, really good for the community and for sharing information. Okay, I can see now other questions as well. Mental health startup. Okay, MRR. I can see a question from Artyom. Yes. So okay. I think you know, revenue for MRR 1K is still quite small for most VCs. So as I mentioned, then typically VCs expect your revenue to be a little bit higher, because and it might be, you know, better you know, maybe better company size at the current moment if you have 1K MRR to the angel investors. But however, you can still share it to VCs as well, because there might be that there is a VC who actually who feels a very close connection to this segment, and who is able to invest you know, earlier than the typical investment scope of the VC is. So yeah, I recommend that yeah, you can share it. You can share your information with every Estonian VC, but also you can write to Estban, because it looks from the company size that it is more suitable. It might be more suitable for angel investment right now. I think I will, if you want. Yeah, I think you already may have had different people from Estonia talking to you about how to apply for the startup visa and these kind of things if you want to come, or how to establish a company. So this is also made relatively easy and simple.
There's one more question from Helena. Hi, thank you for the presentation. Can I send to you our pitch deck and chat separately next week?
Yes, actually, it will be. Yes, please do send them to contact at United Angels VC, and then because if you only send to me, I might be over flooded. So if you send it to contact at United Angels VC, then we will take a look to it and we will provide our feedback to it, whether we think it's suitable scope for us. Maybe one more comment is that every investor in Estonia also has some kind of maybe special areas, like there is more competence in Estonia in let's say B2B type of startups, SaaS, software as a service startups, fintech, maybe not so much maybe in the so far maybe end consumer products, B2C, although there are some really good success cases also in B2C, but more investors are experts in B2C, B2B, including our company. And so some investors actually like more. It's sometimes difficult to tell actually what exactly is the kind of companies they like, but we don't have so strong knowledge in let's say medicine, tech, or some others science heavy segments. Although the competence is coming. And I think in the next few years there will be more competence also in these segments. But right now every investor can might have their own preferences, and sometimes it's difficult to tell in advance whether your company works. Okay, I can see that there is next question about Dmitry. So do you look at equity shares ratio between founders? That can it be, if it's not 50-50, but it's maybe 80-20, that is completely fine actually. It doesn't need to be 50-50. Let's say we have seen several cases actually where there is one main guy kind of who started the idea, who is the main driver, and then who has already taken the idea to some point, and then there is another founder who has 20% before investment, and it's fine. It's completely fine. But of course, if there is another founder who only has I don't know, 3% or 1%, then it's really then this doesn't work. So, but it works if let's say one founder has majority and another founders have maybe 20% or around this range. It doesn't need to be 50-50. It really depends on the how the founders agree in the beginning and what they see as future contributions and value for each founder. So this is completely fine.
All right. Any more questions? Or Dmitry wrote, cool. So as I understand, there are no more questions. And we can say a huge thank you to Gerri. It was quite interesting and very useful for us. I'm very want to say thank you, because it's very important information. And I saw your table that you sent to us. It was quite interesting because I think that it's very important to lots of our companies to use it, just to think about it. And also I want to say thank you guys that you are joining us today. So that is all for today. Hope to see you next time, and I wish you a good evening, productive 2 last working days all the week. One more day, thank you everybody, and goodbye.